Yeah, we can tell everyone to know their data, right? So we leverage relationships here and there. We get the data, right? But data itself can be very deceptive.
Is that people must also learn the things to not do so that they have longevity in their businesses.
Every now and then, even being the manager of a place, I'm telling you, you can tip your... I'm not giving you keys, things that really work, right? Because if staff were to rely on salary alone, I think some of them might think of robbing a bank.
Of course.
Hola.
Hello.
Welcome to the Óbé Láwọ Podcast. People always ask, what does Óbé Láwọ mean? From my research, it means the soup is ready. My name is Ore and Dara. I'm a businessman, predominantly a background in hospitality. I've set up, with my company, the Legacy Clan, set up over 150 F&B and hotel businesses in the hospitality sector, provided over 3,000 jobs to young professionals, elderly people. My background spans back to 2014. I was at the University of Houston studying economics. I saw the Hilton Management School. I said, let me just try and take a course here. Took a course. I moved back to Nigeria. At some point, I had a lot of my friends eating at my house because I was really a fantastic cook. One of them, who's late now, the late Chizzy Wigwe, just cracked a joke and said, "Oh, your food is really good. You should go into restaurant business." And I said, "Yeah, introduce you to Access Bank now." As a joke, eventually got an introduction, and then I was catering for their families and parties and things here and there. Eventually opened my own restaurant. And now, just to cut the long story short, came to an end, I think 7 years, due to an unrest in Nigeria at the time, right? And what led me to my current line of work, which is consulting, was that route. I took that route, and I feel like sometimes a rejection could always be God's redirection. Here I am on the podcast with my co-host.
Thank you. Very inspiring. Hello, my name is Dara Oladejo. I am a hospitality professional and enthusiast. My own story is very different from Ore's, but again, as you said, God's direction and all of that, and we have now crossed paths. I have a Bachelor of Commerce in Hospitality and Tourism Management, so I've always been a hospitality girly. What I did not think was that I would take the direction of restaurants, which I'm fully in now, but I really wanted to go into corporate events and all of that. And yes, about 6-7 years ago, I moved back to Nigeria, and I've worked across different industries, global brands, standalone brands as well. And yes, I just really enjoy making people happy. Honestly, that's my thing. And I love it.
It's funny because my tagline, when people ask me what do I do for a living, I say, I make people's lives easier. And essentially, that's what it is. There are a lot of consultants that you ask them, they're talking strategic advice. Okay, what is your day-to-day?
Give us the real tea. Let's know.
Not something you Google on ChatGPT or whatnot. But essentially, in Nigeria, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's so many problems, so many solutions, and I just found my niche. And it's working for me. I believe that that's what the podcast is about. Showcasing hospitality. And
we're going to talk a lot about hospitality in Nigeria. It's so green. And over the last, 15 to 20 years, it's really taking a turn from whenever Mr. Big started. Those are the real OGs. And then we had shout out UAC, and those sausages. The status sausages.
Yes.
And over the last few years, it's just been such a heavy shift to more a la carte, to more upscale dining. There's a lot going on, and it's very important that we're talking about it. All of the stuff that also goes on in the background is so important that we're talking about it as well. And that's what this podcast is going to do. I don't know that we have a lot of hospitality conversations, also because again it's a green industry, it's a green field, and it's generally not perceived as prestigious in this part of the world. Let's be honest, it's not.
We're going to debunk some things that you guys think are real.
We're going to talk about it, and that's what we're going to do here. It's going to be good. It's going to be great.
I don't know if, sorry to interject, I don't know if saying that to bust anyone's bubble that fine dining is not a thing in Nigeria. Once we accept that, we know peace. You can have upscale dining. I think that you can have upscale dining with fine culture. right? Because even in fine dining, there's traditional fine dining and there's also modern contemporary fine dining, right? For example, when I train staff, right, I always talk to even the Last Supper by Jesus. There was actually a table setting. There was a bread basket. There was wines, right? And I even take it back to even Titanic, right? That was traditional fine dining. You have the white tablecloth, the salad fork, the dessert fork, all of that. Whereas contemporary fine dining now doesn't require a lot on the table setting. It can be easy on the eye, like a normal. That's the in Copenhagen, right? That kind of thing. You could just have like a basic stroke casual table setting and still be fine dining. Fine dining is in the level of service. It's in the quality of the ingredients.
I agree.
It's the culture.
I agree.
Right? But there are things that you can take from that fine dining culture and apply it to a casual restaurant that would work. Yes. So I think that's the reason why a lot of people think fine dining, but
we don't have fine dining here. That's just the truth. We don't. We have upscale dining.
We do.
And it's fine. It's okay if we don't have fine dining. It's also, there was the debacle. I don't even know how to describe it, but that whole conversation, it was very interesting. I loved it. In fact, I was there. I was sat, right? I loved it. And then someone actually went back and talked about the history of it. And it's very, very tied to the French and their culture. And we have our own culture. And there's so much more that we can do, talking about our own food, talking about our own culture and how things are done. The Igbos have a very distinct way that they welcome guests. Their hospitality is very interesting. We can talk about more like that. Even the Northerners, right? And all the other cultures in Nigeria, we can talk about our own without necessarily over diluting it.
Yeah, that's tied up with identity. I remember that growing up. It's funny because I use this example all the time. I remember that growing up, a visitor is coming. You do the things, housekeeping. You tidy up your environment. You chill the wines. But depending on what wine is, you set the table. If you're serving chicken, jollof rice, make sure all of that is done. They call that mise en place. Getting all those things ready and whatnot. And I just thought to myself that this was all of us growing up. And when I say all of us, across the board, that was the standard. But what happens when you come to a business? Why don't you apply that same upbringing to the business? In this podcast, we're going to be talking a lot to upbringing and how your personal life actually influences your productivity at your job.
I agree. And I find that talking about culture, because a lot of our culture also, yes, we do have hospitality and all of that. A lot of our culture can sometimes be restrictive. And now, even where we are as a country, right, there's a lot of restriction. Some people don't apply themselves as much to their jobs in hospitality particularly. It's just a means to an end. It's just I'm doing this so that I can blow in music. I'm just passing through. And for anyone that is really passionate and trying to build a business and build a brand and build something, it's really annoying. And I don't even know if that's the right word to use, but yes, it's annoying when...
If you're passionate, it will
annoy you because I'm here, I want to grind, I love this. And it's okay if you're not as passionate, but it is still work. But a lot of our culture, the beautiful parts of it shows, and the not so beautiful parts of it shows, and it goes through the way people treat the industry.
100%. Let's just go to everyone that wants to kind of get into hospitality, the glamour. You're always thinking that managers or staff are enjoying the menu back to back.
I love this one.
It's a facade. It's not a real thing. That's not to say that the businesses that have gotten it right, their staff haven't eaten their food. But it's something that has to be done. You don't know. If you don't know what it tastes like.
They need to understand what they're selling, and they need to sell it well.
And it's just part of the customer journey. Back in the day, I'm talking about the early 90s, 2000s. If you mess up a customer's order, you can say, "Oh, sorry. Next time we got you." That might have flown back in the day. But now with this new generation of Gen Zs, millennials, we don't take that. Sorry doesn't cost it. Social media. Sorry doesn't cost it.
You gotta be careful.
We need to find ways to be emotionally connect with our guests, right? And it's happened to the best of us. We've all made mistakes here.
For sure.
But we correct that.
Sure.
The moment you see the numbers dropping and whatnot, you need to put your acts together and whatnot.
Talking about the numbers are really important. I feel like that's the less glamorous part that people don't see. People think, oh, it's just about
guesswork.
Eating well, you get what I mean? You're getting free food, but no, the numbers are so important. as for anyone that actually wants to start a hospitality business, I would advise that the numbers should be at the forefront. Now, this does not disrupt the guest experience because those two things must always be balanced, right?
Yeah.
They must coexist.
Yeah.
But the numbers you can't ignore. You can't do things that would cut your margins and just not make any sense for your margins. You must do things that at the end of the day is still making sense for your bottom line, right?
Yeah.
You can't just be random about
it can't be
things.
random.
You must think about your costs.
Yeah.
If you're doing
overheads,
marketing and you want to go big on your marketing, the ROI on whatever it is that you're doing must make so much more sense for your bottom line. And at the same time, the people, right? Again, this is the less glamorous part that people don't see. Oh my God, you walk into a restaurant, it's a whole production. I always say that it's always lights, camera, action, right?
You're on stage.
It's always going to be, it's you're acting.
Yeah.
You come in, you drop whatever problems you have at the door.
At the gates.
You drop it at the
I
gates.
don't prefer the gates.
You prefer the gates, right? It's not the door.
If you have two gates, pick left or right.
Yeah.
I drop it at one gate.
Don't come into it,
Yeah.
the business with it because, again, you must always be at your best, right? And sometimes life gets in the way. And I like that we're talking about the truth with Nigeria. One time, I made a team that I was leading or worked with my team to show this show called The Bear. I don't know if you've ever seen
The Bear
it.
is fantastic.
And just the stark difference between just the way they do things or the way doing things in the movie. It was very interesting to see the way they received it
Attention to
because it's
detail.
like, okay, wow, these are some of the things that we're not doing,
You
right?
can be a fuck cleaner for 5 years easily.
Yes, just you keep doing that and then eventually you move. But there's a lot of less glamorous stuff that people don't see. But you know why I love it? Because for me, it's just the love of the game, right? And I would always continue to put myself into doing the less glamorous stuff so people can enjoy the glamorous stuff.
To add to that, I think that a lot of people have this misconception. Look, it's happened to the best of us, right? Until we get into it, that the industry makes a lot of money, which it does, has a very high turnovers. But at the same time, there's a lot of money going into capex, capital expenditures, and a lot of money going into OPEX, operating expenditures, right? And I can say this for free, that if you don't know your numbers, you're doing guesswork, and guesswork is very dangerous. And that is kind of the reason why a lot of businesses close. To add to that, you talked about ROI, right? But I came up with this word called ROP and ROE.
Look at you.
There are some people that go into it because of it's a return on passion. Maybe they've worked. One of my dons now
Fuck that
has
one.
been a surgeon in America for the longest time. Right, came back to Nigeria, started his practice. That thing blew up. He put money into hospitality business, right? And he said this is a passion project for him. Some people is a thing of status, return on ego, ROE, right? ROE, right? And it's return on ego. So it's like, how did these guys get this right? I want to copy that. Not only did they copy something off Pinterest, no shade to Pinterest. Pinterest is good.
Not too much on Pinterest.
It's good, but there's no originality to it. And I find that some businesses might be trying to, and it's not just Nigeria, some places across Africa.
Of course.
No shade. Trying to replicate a westernized standard where it's like our people don't understand it. When I say our people, the staff don't understand it, then trying to translate that into a menu, then you have an overkill on the inventory, then you have an overkill on, maybe it's a French word that a Nigerian staff cannot pronounce, right? That kind of like meddles with the delivery of what you're trying to do. We need to know our whys. Why am I going into this industry? The industry is not one you just come into to make money, right? We spoke briefly to our journeys, right? But we can speak more to that in some other episodes, right? But this is one industry where it's a slow burn, but the rewards are higher. The more you take those risks, it's higher rewards. And you just kind of have to just stick your head through it and just go through it. You're gonna burn out.
I agree. Burnout in the hospitality industry is a topic for another day. We're not gonna start too much. You would find that you have some of the things and then you would end up working with a team or a partner or other people that can support or balance some of those things you have. And Bob's your uncle. I think you're able to
100%.
do all those things. I feel like a lot of people, and part of why talking about why businesses, some of the businesses in this industry don't last is because people just see the glamour and they're like, you know what you said about return on ego.
Return on ego.
They're just like, you know what, have some money somewhere, or maybe you're a Nepo baby. Hey, allow me some Nepo babies. And you're like, the
Some
operations.
data,
or-
some sort of data.
There's nothing.
Sometimes
it's
data
just-
can even be deceptive, but it's good to know it. It's
Wait,
good to have
do
it.
we have data in Nigeria in
So-
this industry?
It's not data that is openly, readily available if you need it. If you go to America now, you can see McDonald's turnover and whatnot. But I can
Segue.
understand why people withhold their data. I don't
I mean, I
necessarily
get it.
agree with it,
I get
but
it.
I can understand.
But I feel like there's barely any data. If you're someone that's starting out,
You have to leverage
yeah,
relationship.
you have to, and you have to just really make sure that you're really talking to people, because if you don't have any data, that's already the first thing that you need. You don't have any data, you don't have much in terms of doing feasibility, nothing.
Market survey. Even though it's amongst your friends and families, okay, can't afford it. Engage the people that like these things. You know, intended target audience. It's funny you talked about the numbers. All these fancy words we use, margins, operation.
Hey, you're coming
In
for
the
me
market,
now.
this is my language on the day to day, right?
yeah,
But in the
of course.
market, I know that woman in Surah has used that money to send her children abroad, 3 children. A lot of times people overlook the people in the market just because she doesn't understand the fancy words, doesn't mean she doesn't know her numbers. Try and steal from that woman. Let me see if you not be end up in Kirikiri tomorrow.
True.
They understand. The market woman knows how many cons she needs to sell in a day to break even.
True.
But she doesn't know those terminologies. Even though you're not the most learned person, I think there's a passage in the Bible that talks about, I think it's Ecclesiastes, I can't remember exactly where, but it talks about the race is not for the swift, but it's time and chance.
True.
What you find a lot in the industry is sometimes oversabi, or I'm too, I went to the best
Oversabi,
school,
oh,
I went to
yeah, really
this, all of
oversabi.
that. All well and good. Ralph Lauren himself never went to fashion school. But I'm sure you have a Ralph Lauren outfit. I'm sure you have a Ralph Lauren outfit. A lot of times about the passion and being able to apply yourself. Applicable, you have to be able to apply yourself.
I do agree with that. I think
Your mom
that
buys from the same meat seller for the last, or your dad buys from the same meat seller, and they are making their money. Sometimes you
Just
collect on credits. They understand the
consistency.
P. They understand flexibility. Flexibility is something we teach in hospitality. now.
of course.
They understand hospitality. They might not have the customer service etiquette. I did not say that one. No. But they understand hospitality. They understand monopoly. That's why in one area, there's only one person that's selling one thing.
True. And they respect it.
They respect
it's
it.
clear.
It's clear. If you come and you try to start doing gra and whatnot, you don't sort out
This
the
is my
layers and
turf.
this is your turf.
This is my
well
turf.
done.
I
Well done, sir.
think one thing that we need to really talk about, and I think it should resonate through the rest of our episodes and everything that we're going to do, because at the end of the day, the end goal for us is still talking back to the business, right?
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
businesses and the industry, is that people must also learn the things to not do, so
Yeah.
that they have longevity in their businesses, right? So that their businesses, you don't start and then you finish. Of course, there's a lot of external factors you cannot control because
All of
of
us.
where we are. Like the odds with the Nigerian government, I'm so sorry, I'm just gonna say what it is stacked so high,
SWOT analysis cannot save you.
it can never. Because, for example, no one would have thought, well, let me not say no one, but we wouldn't have assumed that at the beginning of the year or whenever it was, the diesel prices and the fuel prices will spike. Now, you already maybe did your price increases maybe in November or October before December. You know what? December is
Worst
coming,
comes to
dirty
worst. But this is
December. Now, you are back there. You now have to do the price increase again. You're now thinking, how do I cushion this for my customers or my guests? And how do I make sure that my team are also okay? How do I make sure that my quality is also good? How do I balance everything? It's all of these external things that can affect you. But just before you start, and even if you start and you don't start well, you have the opportunity to still pick it up and make sure that you're not closing in 3 to 5 years. Because I think that's there's a statistics
Matrix.
on what, like the average, I think this is even more global.
It's less than 2 years.
Yes,
Less than 2 years.
with how fast
I think
restaurant
I think
business
it's
is
faster
growing.
now.
Yeah, it's faster
Yeah.
now. And I think
it's faster now.
it also boils down to sometimes, and some of the stuff we'll still speak about, like a lot of identity crises. People just start, it's just vibes and inshallah, not much else. There's no clear path. There's no strategy. Strategy and operations, like you said, must marry. And some people just, they don't got it. And I guess that's why you have people like Ore I have people like myself that can assist to make sure that those things marry.
You spoke to something now, but I'm going to. You spoke to learning from your mistakes, right? When I had my restaurant, I remember that I invited a friend over, Ife, a DJ Copy, right? And she just came to taste the food, and she was like, she loves this thing. Let's see how we can collaborate. We're still in the building phase. Then eventually it was ready. Now I kid you not. On the day we were meant to open, 80% of my front of house staff did not show up.
You can't plan. Oh my God, that's crazy.
But I've never shared this story before, right? It's when my front of house staff did not show up. Guess why?
Why?
I was a bad boss.
How?
So I had started in the industry as a good boss. I was the kind guy. Oh yeah, you want accommodation, you want this, we give you all of this. I didn't understand the processes. Forget Hilton Management School does teach you. That's just one thing, but you will now come and meet the Nigerians.
The reality.
You will come and meet the Nigerians in Nigeria. And that's not say that we're bad people. Some of them are bad, some of them are good. But to say, I then learned that from that moment, I said I'll never be a bad boss again, just because I know there's a person in the Bible that talks about, this is not a sermon, but they slap you on the left.
But it's good. Right. God has to guide everything that we do.
Exactly.
So business, whatever.
Exactly. So for me, just because I started as a bad boss, they showed me shaggy. I now decided to now come down to their level and now be a bad boss. I then learned after that I will not. And for me, I didn't even go to HR school, but my people management skills are up here, right? And that's not to say that I don't face challenges on a day-to-day, but it's literally, as much as you have an SOP and you have a standard, I'm telling you, different strokes for different folks. There's a way, let's try this one cautiously, right? Because we know, let's use the kitchen for example, right? In my own opinion, I've met most of the most egoistical people I've met in the industry are chefs. Right?
And they're right.
They're right.
Do you know what it is to cook for people?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Right? The way I'll talk to a chef, delivering the same message, is different way I'll talk to a bartender.
But this is a different, I don't want to segue too much. But even the bar, I feel like with global trends and all of that, the bar is really also coming neck to neck.
Oh, neck to
neck. The kitchen drinks are coming neck to neck. Yeah. But I understand what you're saying. Chefs are I love chefs.
Territorial.
I've worked with a plethora of chefs.
I started as a chef.
A plethora. And they're in their rights, because cooking for people and just, it's creative work.
The kitchen is the engine room.
Yes, it is the engine room.
F&B, hospitality business.
It is the engine room.
No matter how many ACs you put in there, it's not enough. And those guys are overseen because even when it comes to service charge, they don't get that.
Really?
A lot of kitchen staff don't get service charge in general, well, in Nigeria, right? A lot of times the front of house, even tips, they don't get tipped. I don't know that is a culture where you go to America, London, everywhere, where the chef comes into the restaurant and is mingling with some of the guests. Again, their flavor profile for the customer journey, right? I don't know that it's a culture in Nigeria, but a lot of times we encourage owners that your chef should always have an extra jacket in their office, not the same one they wore in the kitchen.
So they can come out.
Even though I'm eating a food, it doesn't mean I want to smell it on you. I'll be so put off. So they can come out, and it just adds a personal touch to it. It does. If you're trying to get to that standard. And also, by the way, I feel like similar to every business owner or consultant, we've all been kind of too hard on Nigerian staff. And I need to repent of my sins.
Please expand on that.
Why I say so is because for the longest time, we made it seem like hospitality in Lagos needs to do better. Yes, it does need to do better. But in comparison to a lot of other African countries, Lagos is top 3.
I agree.
You wouldn't know this again until you work in the industry and understand that our people are putting in the effort. Yes, there might be a certain inadequate training models here and there and whatnot. The trauma that they're dealing with, the reality. We have a staff that is working in maybe a fine establishment, but they're going back home to face me and face you. Right? The reality is not nothing, right? And I find that with other countries, I can talk Kigali, Kenya, all of these, those places are starting to come up. Ghana, I was surprised to hear that Lagos hospitality is so top tier that Ghana is not even I was surprised to hear it.
Ghana isn't really touching it, to be honest. But Ghana is good though.
They have really nice concepts. Yes. When it comes to the service culture,
I don't want to say too much about Ghana.
Let's not say too much. This is not a beef thing. Ghana, call us.
Call us.
We were already.
Call us.
Right. But it's more so, us knowing our right from our wrong. I feel that we've been very overcritical with Nigerians, and we do this with our own people. Whereas, if it's an expatriate, by the way, we use the word expatriate here a lot. But when we go to their own place, they call us immigrants. I'm just saying.
True.
Just saying. Right?
Hey,
and we need to...
It's colonization.
Hey, we're also in the post-colonial house. It's okay. Thank you.
It's colonization.
I rest my case for now.
I think that with the industry, again, because it's very green, and we don't have a lot of support, we don't have a lot of people that also train properly. We have a lot of people that have just also falling into it. If you go to even some of the large international hotel chains, you find that some of the people that work there, even as at very top levels, just fell into it and they kind of just work their way through the ranks. You can have a director of F&B, maybe not, let's say F&B manager or assistant director of F&B who started out as a runner or started out as a bus boy, started out as a store boy, and then just moved through the ranks. Now they've learnt the reality of things, mind you, but they have not really learnt the theory, which is also equally important, right? And which is what I see a lot of businesses now in the industry try to do. They try to do a lot of training and really, really good training to really bring a lot of the team members and the front-facing guys up to speed. There's also a lot of, the industry is fast moving globally. The trends keep changing, things keep moving, things keep changing. And Nigeria also is already at a disadvantage with the fact that a lot of people that come into the industry, again, don't have the right amount of passion. They might build that passion perhaps through the right manager, the right place, the right space. All of that will help them now see. I'm not mad at this. I've met a few people like that. But the number of people that have like that organic passion is so little.
Very minute, yeah.
But what I also like is over the years, because when I was going to go study hospitality, it was like, what the hell are you going to do with that? I had a lot of people ask me, what's that about? Even now, I still get people say, when I say, oh, I work in hospitality, they're like, oh, a hospital? Oh, no, I'm not a doctor, very far from that. Well, me and a doctor, we probably have two end goals to make sure that someone is happy, and right? Yeah. But my own trajectory is completely different. I just think that as time goes on and as we keep growing and as we keep moving as an industry, you have more people going into like hospitality schools that are here. There's a few, I won't really mention, but there's a few. I think they're doing a decent job with also churning out people that have a real passion. I think that the educational aspect of things is really, really overlooked here. That's another truth about the hospitality industry in Nigeria. Whereas if you compare it to, I went to university in Toronto in Canada, and I found that like I had to take a food handler certification.
You have to, yeah.
And it was a proper test. In fact, the first time I had to take the test, I missed it. I pulled an all-nighter, I overslept, and I missed it. So I had to essentially wait again, read and study again, do all the practical stuff again, yes, and then take the test. Same thing applies to, I think it's called Safe Serve. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if I remember it, but it's essentially what the bar guys or the bar, if you want to go into mixology and work in the bar, you must have that. We don't have those things here. Anybody, the barrier to entry is very, very low. It's very, very low. So anybody can just have started working as a bar back and then they just rise. They don't really understand the ethics, the regulations, the different things. Here, someone can decide that they want to order 8 Long Islands. That is terrible. That is terrible. You're going to walk out of the place with your head, right? And ideally...
You don't enforce the age.
Exactly, the age. Exactly. Ideally, when you get to a certain number as the person behind the bar, you're meant to stop. You can't have any more. I can't serve you anymore, I'm sorry. But here, we don't have those like things to guide us. The barrier to entry is also low. There's so much more work that we need to do to make sure that we're ensuring that people are okay. You know what I mean? And they have the right amount of training.
Totally understood. Dara, what do you think about staff attitude versus like leadership failure?
Wow.
Because just to say, I've seen staff that are that the Ronaldos in teams, right? But at the same time, they are very big on individual wins, right? And I like to use, I think it's the US Marines or the Navy, I'm not sure which, right? It's the Navy. They have this thing where they rather go with a high performing soldier with a medium level of a medium performing soldier with a high level of trust over the complete opposite.
Right.
You could be a high performer with a low level of trust. They are likely to put you in IT or but they might not put you on the forefront, right? So when it comes to staff attitude, sometimes it might be individual wins, it can be over sabi, it can be just refusal to learn. What do you think about that?
I find that, again, like I said before, our culture influences a lot of stuff, but like I'll dial that down a bit with saying it's also people's background, it's also people's values, and is what they really want to, like what they really want to get and learn, right? I feel like all of that usually becomes so evident in the way that they work. And no matter how much as a leader, you can train, you can shout, you can
replicate the mindset.
You can put the most stringent disciplinary action and policy in place. Someone that just doesn't want to learn will not learn. And I feel like it's very important that anybody that sticks out like a sore thumb, not in a good way, in a negative way, you keep repeating the same things, you keep teaching the same things, and there's just no willingness to change, and there's no evident change. You have to just be honest with yourself and with the rest of the team and say, see, this attitude isn't going to work. It's going to be detrimental for me. And in fact, it can corrupt the rest of my team. Let me just keep it pushing and wrap it up. But I feel like as leaders and a leader, you also have the mantra and you have the mantle to make sure that people are good and people understand the vision of the brand. Again, you cannot change someone's values. You cannot change their attitude. But you also must make sure that you have an eye for the people that the values match. And you keep growing those people, and you keep mentoring those people, and you keep giving them the environment for them to learn and grow. That's just what
100%. Because back in the day, they used to tell us, our parents used to tell us, do as I say. Me, I don't do as I say, do as I do. Meaning that you have an edge, a competitive edge, not just over your competition, right, but over your team, knowing each and every department to some level. People will finesse you.
I agree.
For example, I think in the hospitality industry, other than the kitchen being the engine, who would you say, just one answer, who would you say, which department or which role would you say is the most important? After the leadership, the kitchen, what would you say?
For me,
yes.
And this might be, I don't know, other people might think differently, but I actually think it's the back of house from a inventory and accounts point of view.
Beautiful.
That's what I think.
But me, I was looking for that T, that particular person. Me, I think it's procurement.
So inventory, procurement, yes, those guys.
Yes. And the reason why I haven't set up so many businesses, right, and seen so many salary structures, and seeing how the procurement guys are overlooked, you're actually creating a pathway for these guys to rip you off. Because they control the margins of your business.
That's another
topic, right?
God.
And I feel that we what's up with the salary structure?
Another loaded
topic. But back to what I was saying, leadership failure, right? It's one thing, Dara, we can tell everyone to know their data, right? We leverage relationships here and there. We get the data, right? But data itself can be very deceptive.
I agree.
Right. Just because something is a norm or it's become the norm doesn't mean that's the right industry practice. Right? When it comes to salary structure, everybody's paying 100. Let me just go and pay that. There's actually a calculation for salaries. Right. The person that even lives in VI, if my restaurant was in Lekki, the person that lives in VI shouldn't earn the same amount of money that the person that lives in Oshobo. Not Oshobo, sorry, in Agbulu Edba. Whatever it is, right? There are a lot of factors that play into salaries. Right, and so many things, staffing attitudes, leadership, and whatnot.
I feel like, again, what you said is part of the less glamorous stuff that people don't see or know, when they want to start like a hospitality business, you want to start a restaurant, you don't even think about all those things. All you're always to think about, okay, how's it gonna look, the aesthetics, the vibe,
service culture,
but there's so much that goes on the background or in the background that actually fuels the vibes and the aesthetics. So if you have unhappy staff, then you're gonna enter the place and everybody's frowning. Everybody's grumbling.
No training can make you smile. No amount of training can make you smile.
Shouts from now till next year, no amount of training can make you smile. It's just people have to be motivated,
People have to be motivated. I think that there are various types of leadership. Transformational, there's dictatorship. Honestly, there is.
There is.
There is also transactional. And in places like Africa, or let me say Nigeria, let me be just specified to my own country. Other than doing things like employee of the month or end of year bonus and whatnot, every now and then, even being the manager of a place, I'm telling you, you can tip your. I'm not giving you keys, things that really work, right? Because if staff were to rely on salary alone, I think some of them might think of robbing a bank.
Of course.
It's tipping culture is not a thing that is. Well, let's say it's practiced in Nigeria, maybe off the records or under the table, because everywhere else in the world there's
it's there.
Right? But in Nigeria, it's not something I can really say is.
But we also have a lot of beggy culture.
Abegistan.
And I think people forget. I agree with you, but people also forget that tips are there for work very well done.
Yes.
You're not gonna get a tip because you served me and you just gave me basic service.
Yeah.
You didn't give me hospitality. There's a difference.
Service is black and white, hospitality is color.
Lovely. You didn't give me hospitality. You just gave me service. Like
a robot can do that.
Exactly.
Call that robot from FOMO.
Or I could
come and do the work.
Shout out that one though. I saw it and I was like, that's so cool.
So cool, by the way.
But like you can get the tipping culture. So you can just do basic service. And I can probably do that myself, right? I can go, I can serve myself, I can go put my tray, get my stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's a glorified QSR.
Exactly. You weren't warm, you didn't upsell, you didn't pull my chair for me.
Dara, hold on this upselling thing.
You didn't do a lot of stuff. There's just a lot of stuff you didn't do.
Dara, I hear you on this one.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to disagree with you on live TV. But
not live TV.
I personally, I don't like being upsold.
Really?
Right, because now there's nothing wrong with upselling, right? But the problem with a lot of staff is that we don't get to know your flavor profile. So I've sat down and I say, what's good on your menu? And they say, go for our surf and turf.
T-bone steak.
Salmon. Lobster or salmon. But you don't know if I'm allergic to seafood. But you've already upsold me there.
True.
How about complimenting me first? Oh my goodness, that's a lovely shirt. Oh, thank you. I didn't even want to wear it today.
Like there's levels to it.
No. Why I'm saying so is because I hear that, right? But why I'm saying so is because we forget that a lot of people that come in to dine with us, right? One person has just lost their brother yesterday.
True.
One person is just burying someone tomorrow. One person is just his wife just gave birth. There's like 101 emotions coming in, right? Even though someone is like really super happy and excited to be there and whatnot, I kind of feel, again, this is me. I kind of feel off when I'm upsold. Know my flavor profile. Oh, sorry, what's your...
Get to understand it, then you can upsell. Fair enough. I think there's a technique to it. And only the Ronaldos, like you said before, get it.
Only the Ronaldos get it.
Only the Ronaldos get it. There's a nice way that you won't even realize.
There's a waiter I've trained in this Lagos that is getting about 500k in tips. So the money is collecting with and he's just soliciting for it.
Mood. Big mood.
The money he's getting with his salary is higher than his manager. Not his ex-immigrant manager.
Please.
But it's, the locals.
Anyway, I think...
I prefer suggestive selling.
You prefer suggestive selling. See, at the end of the day, they both have the same, like...
Hey, they do. But just for the experience.
Line. Yeah, they have the same bottom line.
A lot of people don't know how to upsell.
I think we've come to a good point in this episode. And we gotta wrap up. We can't give you too many gems. If you need more gems, call us.
Yeah, call us.
We'll send you that invoice.
We will send you that invoice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you same place, same time next week. Yeah?
Peace.